The youngest team continues their domination in the league. Mega's latest victim is Olympia. After a resounding win against Igokea, Crvena zvezda remains undefeated, while Buducnost trashed FMP in Morača Hall. Cibona finally reached their first victory of the season against Cedevita, and Krka unexpectedly defeated Partizan in Novo Mesto. We wrap it up with the top plays of the round. Welcome to ABBA magazine. Igokea has terminated their contract with American players Terry Kell and Jimmy Gavin. Kell awarded less than 4 points per game in the first 3 rounds, while Gavin averaged a single point more, and the club wasn't happy with their results. Before this, Igokea has already parted ways with Orlando Johnson. Filip Bundović is Cibona's new power forward. He has had a lot of success in youth teams, winning the FIBA Europe Under-16 Championship with Croatia. So far he has played for Club Estudiantes, and he began the previous season in Šibenik and ended it in Turkey. Stefan Janković is the new member of Partizan. The former Missouri State and University of Hawaii at Manoa player spent the previous season in Crvena zvezda, where he averaged 5.5 points and 3 rebounds per game. The 25-year-old power forward is expected to play his first game for the black and white team against Zadar. But Janković is not the only new player in Partizan. Anthony Brown has also joined the team. The former Stanford University player has signed with the team until the end of the season. Krka has earned their second triumph after returning to ABBA League. The home team defeated Partizan 80-76 in Leon Štukelj Hall. This was the second defeat the Belgrade team has suffered this season. Neither of the coaches couldn't count on their full roster. Simon Petrov had to do it without Jošilo and Balažić, while the black and white team had to manage without Rade Zagorac. The team from Novo Mesto held the lead for the most part, as Neno Čanak players weren't in the mood for distance shots. The guests scored a single 3-pointer in the first half, but Vanja Marinković helped the team stand their ground, and mostly thanks to him, the first quarter ended with an even score. The teams were neck and neck up to the end of the second period, when the ABBA League second division champion took the lead with 11-2 series. The home team was dominant in rebounds as well as in field goals. They held their lead until the beginning of the third quarter, when the guests scored 10 unanswered points. In the dramatic final quarter, the experienced Dalibor Đapa scored 2 decisive 3-pointers. Thanks to Marinković and Page, Partizan managed to stay in the game until the very end for the fourth quarter. But then the home team scored 9 points against 2 and reached an important win. Luka Lapornik was the best player for the Slovenian team with 19 points and 8 offensive rebounds. Cinac scored only 3-pointers from play and finished the game with 13 points, while Fifolt scored 1 point less and 6 rebounds. Vanja Marinković was the best shooter of the game with 22 points. Page scored 14 and Landale 12 points. Crvena zvezda is still undefeated in all competitions and is the current leader in the league. They have the same number of points as the undefeated Mega, but with a better score difference. Milan Tomic's men defeated Igokea 96-75 in Aleksandar Nikolić Hall. The team from Laktaši parted ways with American players Kel and Gavin before this game, and both Radivojević and Adamović couldn't play due to injuries. In spite of the problems, Nenad Trajkovic's men held their ground against Zvezda for the most part of the first half. The red and white team started the game strong and easily formed a double-digit lead. Talić and Lešić responded for Igokea. By the end of the first quarter, they reduced the deficit to only 2 points. Crvena Zvezda pulled away once again at the end of the first half. Last year's finalists played an excellent offensive game, scoring nearly 70% of their 2-point shots and adding to that 10 free-pointers and 30 team assists. The home team stepped up their defensive game, which helped them pull further away from their opponents. Igokea managed to score only 11 points in the first quarter, and the final part of the game began with a 20-point difference between the teams. After that, Crvena Zvezda routinely wrapped things up. Coach Tomic was once again able to give all of his players some time on the court, but Aleksa Radanov spent the most time in the game, 23 minutes. He was Zvezda's best shooter, scoring 16 points from as many attempts and adding to 3 rebounds and 3 assists. Lazic finished the game with 12 points and Baron with 11. All 3 of the home team's best shooters missed only 1 shot in this game. Filip Čović stood out with 10 assists. Sava Lešić was Igokea's best player with 21 points and 5 rebounds, while Zupčić scored 16 points but with a poor field goal percentage. In the first game of round 4, Mega defeated Olympia 81-77 in Sremska Mitrovica, thus remaining undefeated in ABA League. The guests opened the game better. After 2.5 minutes, they were in the lead 9-3, mainly thanks to Radulovic's points, but then Čarapić took matters into his own hands and led Mega to a 15-4 series and a 18-13 lead. Čarapić stood out again mid-second quarter when the score was 31-28 for the home team. After that, it was Miha Lapornik's time to shine. By the end of the first half, he scored 4 free-pointers from as many attempts and 14 out of Olympia's 18 points. After 2 excellent dunks by Sanon, the guests went on the break the lead. The score was 48-39. Olympia came out strong when the game resumed. After 3 points by Reynolds and Sanon, they reached the biggest lead in the game, 13 points for 54-41. At the beginning of the final quarter, Mushidi scored his first points and Mega allowed Olympia to score no more than 5 points during more than 6 minutes. Mišković took the spotlight 4 minutes before the end and led his team into the lead, 70-68. Neither of the teams was able to score in their final attacks, and regular time added with Mushidi's miss. The score was 74-74 and the duel continued in extra time. Olympia scored the first 3 points, but Mesicek's free throw for 77-74 was the last point they scored in the game. Mega took the lead in the last minute with Mišković free-pointer. Aščerić sealed the deal 24 seconds before the finish, and the game ended 81-77. Mega took the win in spite of 33% field goal and 14 missed free throws. Their best player was Mišković with 18 points, Bitadze scored 17, while Fundić had a double-double with 11 points and as many rebounds, 10 of which were offensive rebounds. For Olympia, Lapornik scored 19, Mesicek 15 and Sanon 14 points. Zadar is the only team who hasn't had a single victory in the first 4 rounds of ABA League. This time the Croatian team was defeated by Mornar 93-83 in Krešimir Ćosić Hall. Aleš Pipan's team started the game off in excellent form, and it seemed that they were finally going to end their negative streak. They scored 27 points in the first quarter and finished it 9 points in the lead. William Magherity played his debut game, and he scored 7 out of his 10 points as soon as he stepped out on the court. The team from Bar wasn't discouraged by the less than ideal beginning. They were waiting for their excellent shooters to score a series of points. On this night, Waller was the one who stole the spotlight. He scored his team's first 10 points in the second quarter and even the score. Grant, Little and Božić defended the home team's lead right until the end of the first half. However, the team from Montenegro had a better field goal percentage, and that enabled them to go on the break in 4-point lead. Zadar never gave up, but they couldn't manage to even the score. The home team's final effort came mid-final quarter, when they reduced their deficit to 3 points after Little's three-pointer. But after that, Waller picked up where he left on the first half. He scored 2 three-pointers in a row and started an 13 unanswered point series by his team. In Mornar's second victory in a row, Waller was the most valuable player with 19 points and 5 out of 7 three-pointers. Nikola Rebić finished the game with 16 points, 5 rebounds and 4 assists, while Vranjaš scored 14. Konig finished the game with 12 points, just like Lukovic, who reached a double-double with 12 rebounds. Grant was Zadar's best player with 22 points. In the final game of round 4, Buducnost thrashed FMP 79-59 in Morača Hall. Aleksandar Džikic's team was dominant throughout the game. Earl Clark shined brightest at the beginning of the game, scoring 8 points in the first quarter. At the end of this quarter, Suad Šehović scored the first of his 6 three-pointers, and thanks to Gordić shots, Buducnost got their first double-digit lead. Šehović scored 4 three-pointers in the second quarter. His last one came 28 seconds before the halftime, when Buducnost reached their biggest lead. The halftime score was 48-26. However, when the second half began, the home team didn't look as dominant as they did in the first part of the game. Šehovic's 6th three-pointer got their only points in the first 6 minutes. Unfortunately, FMP wasn't able to profit from this. They made a number of mistakes, their point guards were mediocre at best, and their distance shots percentage was subpar. All of that combined with good defense by the home team, and all they could manage in the 6 first minutes of the second half was to reduce their deficit to 13 points. They did manage to reduce the deficit to 59-51 during the final quarter, but they were never a real threat for Buducnost. Aleksandar Džikić played Aleksa Ilić in the final quarter. He made one of the best plays in the game when determined to final score with his dramatic dunk. FMP's best player was Dragan Apić with 16 points and 7 rebounds. Duoprit scored 14 points. Coach Džikić gave an opportunity to all of his reliable players. Zoran Nikolić was the only one who played less than 5 minutes due to injury. Suad Šehović was the most valuable player with 19 points and 8 rebounds. Earl Clark scored 13 points, 6 rebounds and 4 assists. Gordić and Popović finished the game with 11 points each and Ilić with 10. Cedevita suffered another defeat. The champions of Croatia lost to their city rival Cibona 78-75 in Draženov Dom. Sito Alonso, Cedevita's coach, once again couldn't count on Filip Krušlin, while the home team had to manage without their captain Marin Rozic. Cibona was plagued with problems in the first quarter. Their rival capitalized on that, and with 3 pointers they reached a double-digit lead by the end of the first quarter. Ivan Velic's team was motivated in second quarter by the Ross. The American player brought his team back into the game with series of points. In spite of that, Cedevita was the one who went on a break in a 6-point lead, 42-36. The same problems that we've seen against Mega were once again giving trouble to Cedevita. A dreadful field goal percentage, 26, and 17 missed free throws had a detrimental influence on Sito Alonso's team. On top of that, Cibona left their heart on the court in the second half. Igor Maric scored 20 out of 22 points and led his team to victory. The game was nearing its end when Cibona took the lead. Ivan Ramljak evened the score, but Marko Ljubicic scored a three-pointer and Cibona triumphed. Gilbert and Areli Ross scored 10 points each for Cibona, and Bell was the best in Cedevita's team with 17 points. The most valuable player of round 4 is Uroš Luković. Mornar's center played one of his trademark games. He wasn't the best shooter in his team, but he had the most rebounds. Luković finished the game with 12 points and 12 offensive rebounds. He shined in defense. He blocked the opponent in getting points 5 times. That would be all for this edition of ABBA Magazine. We'll be back next week with the recap of round 5.